Most of you probably don't even know it, but we've been under a precious metals revolution for some time now. But with 2024, the stage is set for the next phase, and we'll talk about that as we explore. There is no doubt that a revolution is underway and has been underway for quite some time. And that fight is being taken at the state level here in the United States. But I think other countries around the world would be well advised to contact their local and national legislators to see if they can do something similar around the world. Nonetheless, we're going to be referencing a piece here from the New York Sun that references this battle and how it's waging. It is, in a sense, a war, but really more so, it's about a revolution. And on the legislative level, in a way to declare, at least in part, our independence from the Federal Reserve System. We've now crossed $34 trillion in debt. And that is the shot across the bow, that increasing debt based off of deficit and government spending that has occurred. The Mises Institute has steered its fans towards the Sound Money Index. I'll talk about that in a moment. And it ranks the states by the degree in which they provide an environment for honest money. In other words, sound money. And we talk about money and how we define it. And one of the sticking points for this form of money is that it does not have a stable store value. Well, it does. It's just on a decline, a massive decline. But right now, we are at 3.1% decline in value year over year. Folks, that's called inflation. But it's not out of control inflation. They have it under somewhat of control with the rate hikes that they have been doing and some other policies where they're not printing as much money. But nonetheless, notwithstanding, how long can they do that before it gets out of control? Well, that's the big unknown that we really don't have a big handle on yet. But regardless, we know that gold and silver provide a stable store of value through the course of time. So we have unsound money and then sound money. And that's, in order for us to get to the idea of sound money, we must think beyond the day-to-day price movement of precious metals, including the premiums that we pay for them. But notwithstanding, taxes are a big deterrent for buying precious metals. Ask many in Europe who have to pay a VAT, a value-added tax for gold and silver. It's no good at all. Nonetheless, we continue to hold precious metals because they do and have for thousands of years provided that stable store of value. Now, gold and silver are money, the index notes, not by government decree, but because they have been proven to be over the test of time, epochs, generations, and it's been amazing for thousands of years that they've maintained their value. Maintenance of value is the best hope, and the reason why we hold precious metals. Value many times transcends price. And so when we see here that the classical monetary metals, gold and silver, discover the value of fiat currencies like the dollar, it's not the other way around. So it does require a paradigm shift in thinking. And so they maintain their value. That insight is underscored as the 2024 index is being released, that the fiat dollar is flirting with all-time low versus gold. That's how we have to think about it. The dollar is trading low compared to gold. Dollar versus gold, we know which one is doing much better. It is the gold. The Wall Street Journal observed that the dollar fetched in futures markets but a 2,062nd of an ounce of gold. That's right. How's that for the way you price the dollar compared to gold? Gold is a constant. The dollar is the thing that's moving. A fall for the year of 13%, which, on the inverse, the price of gold has risen 13% over the year, far outpacing inflation. Over the long run, the dollar's collapse has been an even more precipitous. It's been a downhill plunge since President Nixon in August of 1971 severed the greenback's last link to the gold standard. essentially closing the gold window. And that's essentially taking away America's pledge under the Bretton Woods Agreement to redeem the dollars presented to it by foreign governments at a rate of a 35th of an ounce of gold. The adjacent, when we talk about that, we can see that as soon as that happened, the gold and the dollar, that rate has plunged over the years. Federal policy is largely to blame for the dollar's debasement. And that's exactly right. Now there are fluctuations in price, and we've seen that even during the time when we were under a gold standard. That's normal economics, supply and demand. And right now we are starting to see that rear its ugly head yet again with an egg shortage because of some sort of disease going on with chickens out there. The price of eggs has gone up. That is not inflation. That's just price fluctuations based off of market dynamics. But nonetheless, there are practical steps that can be taken at the state level, not the federal level, to promote the use and acceptance of sound money. That's right, for transactions. One key is eliminating taxes on monetary metals. That's the first phase of the precious metals revolution. Believe it or not, that's almost done. I'll talk about that in a moment. Such taxes, the League's policy director, J.P. Cortez, says that the friction disrupting the flow into and out of the U.S. dollar, as well as in and out of gold and silver. Now, premiums can also play a role in that, too. Premiums we can really never escape if we're buying them. But when you transact in them, and back and forth, that really does do away with premiums as well. Under a specie standard, and notice I don't say here gold and standard, but still it could be a gold and silver standard, a bimetallic standard that could come underway. Paper money, and essentially this is cotton fiber linen this is what that is made out of, but paper money is convertible into gold, silver, or both at a fixed legal rate. With fiat money, taxes impede exchanges of paper dollars and monetary metals. Feature how excise taxes are levied when dollars are traded for gold and silver, or when capital gains taxes are imposed on monetary metals. By ending such taxes, Mr. Cortez says states will have removed the strongest impediment to people readopting gold and silver as money. That's right. This is gone now, and the taxes on gold and silver are gone, and this is a big leap forward. The League's top priority is ending these taxes. That's their number one priority right now, and it has been underway for several years, and I've documented that for each of the states that have done that, for the most part, on this channel, if you followed along here. One thing I like to do on this channel is bring you the latest news with regards to things like this. So I hope you would consider liking this video if you find value, and subscribing to the channel as well if you find this content valuable. So Mr. Cortez says here that 43 states have ended the sales tax on gold and silver. Of the 7 that remain, 5 of them have active legislation to end the taxes that currently stifle what he calls the purchase of sound money. That includes a bill that is moving through the New Jersey legislature with unanimous passage of the state assembly and a Senate committee. That's big news for New Jersey, indeed. I've covered that on a video recently. The League Index names Wyoming as the best state in the nation for sound money policies, with South Dakota, Alaska, New Hampshire, and Arkansas rounding out the top 5. To create the rankings, the League weighs each state's tax policies relating to monetary metals. The League also considers questions like whether a state has a bullion depository and whether state reserves or pension funds include any holdings of gold and silver. The League also, and this is very important, urges the states to take the course envisioned by the Founding Fathers by acknowledging gold and silver as real, not to mention constitutional money. That's right. This is a very important next phase in the revolution. We're seeing some of that in some of the legislation that will be under consideration for this year, 2024. And so far, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wyoming have enacted laws foreseen in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution to make gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Congress, the National Congress's failure to maintain the dollar's value is giving the states an opportunity to lead the way back to honest money, in a sense, declaring independence, at least in part, from the Federal Reserve System altogether by using gold and silver. Folks, this is exciting, and I'm going to be covering and paying attention and bringing you the latest information on these bills as they make their way through the legislatures. And some folks are very, very optimistic that we will see this continue. And when it does, then that means that gold and silver indeed could very well become the standard bearer for value proposition in the states as they continue to not only have stores of gold and silver themselves in stockpiles, sort of like their own central banks on the state level, but also for people to transact in gold and silver, and really starting to have a paradigm shift of thinking as to what is considered to be a store of value over the course of time. Folks, in this year, I'm going to try to focus more on gold and silver, not necessarily based off of price. I will talk about price a lot during this year, but I'm going to try to help you understand and think differently about gold and silver. We should literally be measuring our worth and our wealth in ounces, not in dollars, because in the end, that's really what it boils down to. The Constitution knows it. The Bible knows it. 400 and some odd times mentions in the Bible. The Constitution recognizes it. And now many of these states are starting to adopt some of these policies. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.